So, this is going to be a continuous guide for my esports club at my high school. Go Vikings. You know where that's from. So, let's get started. I recorded this like 3 different times. Try to see how it'll work. I'm recreating it the 4th time because I feel like the last recording, like, you can hear me, but not a lot. So I'm making this last recording to make sure you guys fully hear me. So let's get started. Let's work with me here. So Dragon Ball is like a very different game compared to a lot of other fighting games. They have it has like a lot of mechanics you might be familiar with if you've played like other fighting games before, like other 2D fighting games. But if you've never touched a 2D fighting game, I'll be getting to these mechanics now. So this video is going to be divided into 3 sections. 1, I'll be getting into movement. The next, I'll be getting into your button notation and button mapping. And lastly, I'll be getting into system mechanics. So let's get started on knowing your movement in Dragon Ball Fighterz. So first off, you have your dash, and you have your backdash. Your backdash kind of works like I'm gonna compare this to Mortal Kombat and Injustice. That's how I feel like it feels like. So backdash, you can only press a button after the animation is done. So you see, I can press a button after the animation is done, but if I try to press it while it's happening, it won't press a button. Now, regular dash, it actually works differently than a lot of fighting games that I've played, at least. When you do a regular dash and press a button, you can do it while you're moving, while you're dashing, like in the animation. Like you do like a little micro dash and press a button. So it works very differently compared to other fighting games. So at any point of your dash, your forward dash, you can press a button, which is something you should keep in mind when playing this game. Another thing is you got a jumping dash. So you got your jumping forward dash and jumping back dash, just like on the ground. So these actually work differently. I'm gonna tell you how they work differently in a second, but for now I'm gonna get into the jumping segment. So, like in every other fighting game, you can jump up, jump forward, and jump backwards. But unlike other fighting games, you actually have 2 jumps, as you can see here. Now you can double jump forward, double jump backwards, and then you can just jump up. Now, when it comes to jumping and dashing forward and back, when you dash forward, it'll cost a jump. Like when you jump and dash forward, it'll cost a jump. So notice how I do a dash and I'm holding up and I can't do another jump after I dash. I do a dash jump. So make sure to keep that in mind. Now, this also applies to backdash, jump backdash. Or we call this in-air dash, short for IED. So the IEDs. So notice how I do an IED and I can't jump while doing an IED. And if I double jump, then I can't do an IED. So keep that in mind. In this game, you won't find this in any other fighting game except for like maybe Arc System Works fighting games, because they developed Guilty Gear, so a lot of stuff from Guilty Gear is in here, and a lot of other stuff from other fighting games in here. So you got Super Jump, which if you played Guilty Gear before, you'll know that Super Jump is in the game, but in this game it's actually very useful. I see a lot of top players use this in their neutral play, so you're going to want to learn this. Now here's something very vastly different with Super Jump compared to Guilty Gear Xrd and or Guilty Gear Strive. So when you do a Super Jump in this game, if you hold up, you'll actually float. And if you hold down, you'll fast fall. This is important because you can sort of combine your dash and you sort of combine your ground dash and do a super jump and float to kind of traverse around the screen. This rule also applies to the double jump rule. So when you super jump, notice how the height that I go at with the super jump also reaches the height of a double jump. So you can essentially use a super jump to spend one jump instead of having to use two to get somewhere. So I suggest you learn how to use a super jump in your movement when you try to pick up this game, seriously. Another thing is this super jump also applies to the same rule where you can't dash if you use two jumps. But what's different is that when you use the double jump, you can actually keep the momentum of the float and or fastball. So just keep that in mind when you use a double jump and you float. I mean, when you use a double jump and while you did a super jump. So make sure you keep that in mind. I think I'll get into the next segment, which is the buttons. So this game is a 4-button game. The notation of the game: 2 is down, so 2, I'm crouching right now. 3 is down forward. 6 is forward. 1 is down back. And then 4 is back. Those are essentially the notations you're gonna want to know when learning what input is what and what move is this combo video showing you or something like that. So you're gonna want to know these notations by heart. So you got your light, your medium, and your heavy. These are going to be used for combos, but they're also going to be used for your approaching game, so keep that in mind. You also got your 2 light, you got your 2M, your 2 medium, and your 2 heavy, which is your crouching heavy, obviously. You also got your jumping light, your jumping medium, and your jumping heavy. You also have a special button, which is your key blast. I'll get into this right now. Key blasts are very important when you play this game. Make a Kefla guided for my school? No, definitely definitely not. Anyways, so yeah, so Ki Blast or the special button are full screen projectiles. That's a very important information because you're going to be using this a lot. If you hold down the special button, you'll do a rapid Ki Blast. If you just press it, you'll throw out one. Some characters in this game, I'm gonna tell you right now, some characters have this, and then some characters have a Ki Blast but with different properties, and some characters in general will just have it, but like it doesn't really go far. But they have like different uses. So I suggest you learn your character's moves and look at their normals and whatnot and see what properties they have. I think the next thing I'll get into is system mechanics. So let's see. Let's have Android 21. Yeah, I'll just get into Dragon Rush first. So Dragon Rush is essentially your grab in this game. So notice how like Labco 21, she's like blocking, but her guard isn't really being broken. Now, how do I open a person? How do I open Labco 21 up? Well, for that they have Dragon Rush. Dragon Rush essentially breaks your opponent's guard and allows you to get a combo extension off of your grab. I think I'll get into combos in another video, but that's essentially important for you to know. Also, side note, if you mash the X button or the light button and medium button, you'll do an auto combo. So make sure to keep that in mind with you. So you also have a thing called Reflect. This essentially deflects everything in the game. But notice how Goku goes into this like after he like whiffs the Reflect, notice how he gets into kind of like an end lag state. So Reflect and deflect like everything in the game, but like if an opponent kind of reads you on your Reflect, they can punish you for it. So make sure to be wary when you use it. You also have 6M, which is forward and medium. And this move is an overhead. This also can break your opponent's guard if they're not ready for it. And if you use it simultaneously with your assist, you're kind of like plus on block for it. So, and you can take your pressure just in case your opponent like blocks the 6M, you know? So that's important to keep in mind. You also have Super Dash, which is kind of like your home in, like your home in dash. Now you can use this with this to make yourself plus if your opponent's not ready for it. But it kind of takes timing. Yeah, so you can use it simultaneously with your assist. And another thing to keep in mind is with Dragon Rush, if you hold the assist button, you can snap in your opponent. Your assist buttons are going to be your like kind of like your bumpers, so LB and LT. So LB would be your first assist, and LT would be your second assist. So make sure to keep that in mind. So when doing Dragon Rush, if you hold the like an assist button, it'll snap in that character. So LB would snap in the second character, and then LT would snap in the last character. So make sure to just keep that thought in mind when snapping an opponent's character in. mostly you'll snap an opponent's character to just snap them in. You can't really get anything off of it. Only time you really could have was Season 2, but they patched that out. So, mostly when you snap in a character, you'll kind of want to have to back off like this and just pressure them with Ki Blast again or something like that, right? But we'll talk about neutral in another video. I think other than that, there's not really much to go over. Other than there's one more thing actually now that I'm thinking about it. Let's have Trunks come in, right? So in this game, if both your characters die, you get a little like little streak on your health bar, like a little yellow streak at your health bar, as you can see up there. Essentially, this is kind of like X Factor from Marvel vs. Capcom 3. If you don't know what X Factor is, essentially this gives you like a buff to your last character on screen. So Trunks kind of has like a damage buff right now. This change or this mechanic applies for every character in the game. So depending on your character, they could shit a lot of damage into their combos. Another thing I like to go over is sparking. Usually you'll use sparking when you are in a pressured situation. On block, this is 0. Actually, wait, is it 0? Yeah, okay. So you're both 0 on block when you spark. When your opponent tries to pressure you, and let's say they read the spark coming, but they block it, you're both 0 on block, so you essentially you both have the advantage. But if they jump, you're essentially plus, so you can just kind of do whatever once you spark, like use a vanish or something. Now vanishes in this game are the medium and heavy button pressed together. Essentially what they do, right? So like if you press like the special button, right? So if you do a rapid Ki Blast or something like that, hold on, I need a full bar for this. Alright, so let's say you do a rapid Ki Blast, right? Essentially, like if you do a rapid Ki Blast and vanish, it's essentially your turn. So it's kind of like your way of getting in, almost, by spending one full bar of meter. Another thing you can do with meter is something called EX moves. So notice how this is Goku's Dragon Fist, right? Notice how like the properties change. This is the light version and this is the medium version. The properties change, but he doesn't really do anything crazy with them. Now, if we do the EX version, which is like the enhanced version of the move, it'll change the properties as well of the move. So notice how Goku kind of teleports to the opponent after he uses it. That's something to keep in mind. Just make sure you notice all your characters' moves and kind of keep track on what they do, because that will be important for when you're playing a character and you want to know like what they do. Other than that, I think talk about all the system mechanics. I don't think there's anything else for me to talk about. I think next video I might go into pressure and combos, because that's something important that you're gonna want to know. And if you guys want, I can do a character overview, kind of make it like a series. You know, go through every character in the roster and talk about what they can do and what their special moves can do and whatnot. So I think a little tip is just try having fun with the character and seeing what they can do, and practice your movement for now, and study the system mechanics so that way you have a basic understanding of the game and you can get into the real meat of things, which is like the pressure and whatnot. So yeah, if you guys have any suggestions, just talk to me and or the council members, and they'll try to take your comments and forward it to me. And I think that's all I really need to talk about. So I guess I'll see you guys